exciting. I keep listening to all these titles, and one thing I think as a leader, you need to be aware of the fact that you just seem to accumulate titles. The more time goes by that you are a leader, you seem to just keep accumulating more and more titles. So I guess just here at Northview High School, yes, I'm a social studies teacher. I'm the social studies department chair. I'm the junior class advisor. I'm the quiz bowl advisor. And I've picked up these titles more or less because of longevity. I'm not the youngest guy in the building anymore, if you haven't noticed. But then there's those titles that you take the initiative and you go out and you actively seek. And that kind of ties in with the first one there on our list of 10 top things that a leader should know or do. Timing is a lot, but it also has a lot to do with your own initiative. If you see a problem and you really sense there's a problem and no one is stepping forward to do something about that problem, this is when leaders step forward and they take the initiative and they work to solve that problem. And you will find that that is where people, I think, become the most effective leaders because they got into it for the right reasons. When I became a union president, I became involved with the union only because I did not like the direction that our leadership was taking the association, and I felt the need to do that. And I got involved really in my 4th year in the district. And that's really not common for young teachers, but I really wanted to make a difference. I really felt that we could take the union in the right direction. And so I took the initiative and I got involved, and I've been involved literally every year now since 1990. I've been here that long. I took the initiative in my own neighborhood because in South Toledo, and I live by the zoo. I know you guys know my neighborhood. Some of you might think it's not the best neighborhood. We love our neighborhood, okay? But I saw problems. We had crime. We had a lot of crime. We had kids roaming the neighborhood, and my neighbors took it upon themselves to begin to patrol our neighborhood with what they called the bike patrol. And what scared me about our neighbors, because they were emotional about this and they were taking it, a little bit too much to heart, is they were patrolling the neighborhood with tasers and worse. They saw kids walking down the street as a threat. I saw kids walking down the street as kids. And so we started having problems. I decided to get involved with our neighborhood association, and I ended the bike patrol, and we hired professional security guards to patrol our neighborhood, and now our neighborhood is listed as one of the top 10 safest neighborhoods in Toledo. Because we went about it the right way, instead of trying to get others out there who really don't really know what they're doing to get involved. And that's how I came about running for Toledo School Board. My kids went to Toledo Public Schools, even though I teach here in Sylvania. They got a really good education at Boucher High School. It's available to all kids in Toledo, but because of other reasons or other situations, not everybody does get the best education in Toledo. We know this. And our school board was really dysfunctional. So when I heard 3 of the school board members were up for re-election, and I didn't like any of the candidates I'd heard, in my free 2 weeks in July, I decided to run for school board. I took the initiative. Okay? And now I'd like to say I've got a fairly good chance of winning. We'll have to wait and see how that goes. But you're going to have to take the initiative at some point in time. And that's really going to be that you're taking a leadership role for the right reasons because you see a problem and no one else is stepping up. Okay? It may be that you don't want to. You're going to have to leave your comfort zone. So one thing you got to understand, taking that initiative takes you out of your comfort zone. But real leaders, I'm not saying it always gets easier, but you have to recognize you are able to step out of that comfort zone and be successful. So timing is everything. And I do want to point out one other thing. If you don't take the initiative, if you wait for someone else to take the initiative, and you don't take the opportunity, then you're going to have to accept the direction that they go to solve the problem. So timing is everything. You need to decide, are you willing to go the way they want to go, or do you want to take it a separate direction? Share the glory. No one person in Sylvania schools, in Toledo schools, in any organization you've ever been associated with is responsible for that organization's success. Nobody. Okay? It is a group effort. It is always a group effort. And if one person is standing up there taking all the credit, then all the other people who really should be sharing in that are getting upset. All right? There's a time and a place for that, but I'm telling you, you share the glory. You share the credit. And you give them a little bit of the credit, that they're entitled to. People respect you then. And you can't say, I made the difference. No. You may have helped make the difference, but it's not just you. Trust. And trust is the next one there going down. Trust is very important. And the only thing I can tell you is don't tell someone you're going to do something that you have no intention of following through on because they don't get it. And then you're going to have to rebuild that trust. And that's much harder than the original trust that they had for you. So you don't go into some situation and promise something you can't or won't deliver. Okay? You've got to build trust. Trust works into everything I do in Sylvania schools. I work with the school board. I work with the administration. I work with 500 plus teachers. And I don't say I don't intend to do anything. I don't say I'm going to do something that I don't have intention to do. They trust me on that. When we negotiate, we trust each other to move forward together for the good of the organization. Okay, so trust is very important. And let me just add, when you're negotiating, the worst thing you can do is walk away from that negotiations table and say, woohoo, we won. Because what's happening? What am I really doing? The other side, man, you get ready, because next time you go to negotiations, they're going to want to win. You have just created animosity unnecessarily. No true, successful negotiations has a winner. Okay, I know you don't like the sound of that, but it's better to walk away and say, hey, we're not happy about this, we're not happy about this, but we got this and we got that. It's a trade-off, it's a compromise, and both sides gave a little and both sides got a little. That's a successful negotiation, and that keeps the trust. So I think that's very important to remember, folks. Nobody walks away from negotiations winning. Okay? You learn from your mistakes. You have to learn from your mistakes. I made mistakes. You know, shocking. My parents are there to always remind me of the mistakes I made. Now they're telling my son's fiance about all the mistakes I made. So if you think they're going to go away, no, it's not. Here's the real question. Does anybody know what happened at Bay of Pigs? Yes, it's a history question, Gabby. Don't choke. What happened at Bay of Pigs? No one in this room can say they've never heard of Bay of Pigs. But can anybody tell me what happened at Bay of Pigs? Nate? Sorry, I said that. Nate? It failed. Thank you. Can you elaborate on that? What failed? Botched operation. That would have... Give me a... Fidel Castro. John F. Kennedy allowed a plan to go forward that had an army of Cubans invading Cuba to overthrow Fidel Castro. Sorry, Dave, I apologize. All right. To overthrow Fidel Castro. It bombed. It was terrible. The troops got decimated on the beach and captured. And how did Kennedy respond? First off, it wasn't even his plan. It was a plan that came from the Eisenhower administration. He inherited it. But when it failed, when it was obvious what a failure it was, he went before the American people and he accepted full responsibility for the failure at Bay of Pigs. And what happened was popularity. People who thought he was a rich Massachusetts Democrat know-it-all who couldn't stand him suddenly said, oh, wait, he's taking responsibility for an action. And his popularity went up amongst everybody. All right? Own your mistakes, learn from your mistakes, move on. Don't dwell on them. Just remember them. Okay? You will make mistakes. We all do. Confidence. Don't be overconfident, but confidence. Confidence is not one you teach, but I can tell you where I get my confidence from, and that is believing in what I say. Okay? I'm not a good speaker. I don't really particularly like standing up in front of groups of people, especially when I'm really nervous. I stammer, I hem-haw around, I don't really like speaking. I'm not that good at it, but I really do well when I believe in what I say. And I have no problems with my confidence when I have my convictions. So one piece of advice there is, if you really believe in what you say, people will listen to you. Okay? If you really believe in what you say. If you don't, they're going to know. They're going to know. But be confident in what you say, and that confidence will carry through when you speak to large groups. Effective partnerships. That kind of goes along with the way we work towards teams. Okay? An effective partnership means that we have a set of goals. They have a set of goals. We come together and we try to satisfy as much of each other's goals as possible. Okay, I'm still back to describing the negotiations, but I will say that is the way an effective partnership works, is that you work together to try to solve problems, and you try to keep both sides as satisfied as possible. Okay, and you should be able to go to them anytime you want to try to keep that agreement together and be able to work together. And that's why I'm very pleased that I got the support I got in my candidacy for Toledo School Board from the administrators and the school board here in Sylvania. They've all been very supportive of my candidacy. So I really appreciate that support because it means they recognize me as somebody as an effective partner for Sylvania schools, and they hope I'll be an effective partner in TPS. Renewal happens for teachers every year. That's because we get these new classes every year. You may not recognize that, but teachers really, and myself included, kind of get renewal every new school year. It's something we look positively for. But my renewal also becomes the fact that most of these teachers around here are younger than me. I don't know if you've noticed that. And some of them are my former students, and some of them, like Mr. Swagerty over there, were born after I graduated from high school. So just to give you an idea of how much older I am than most of my colleagues. But you know, that really does give me a challenge, and it gives me new ideas, and it really gives me new energy. The best thing I can tell you about renewal is don't be afraid to surround yourself with people that really don't agree with you. That is getting you out of your comfort zone, but it makes you think, it makes you judge your own perspective on things, and it introduces you to other ideas. It doesn't matter what their difference between you and them are, but it's nothing wrong with interacting with people who are different from you. Look for renewal from that. It gives you a lot of good ideas. Being a talent broker, and I'm number 9 now, being a talent broker, I know my limitations. I know my limitations. I'm very proud of the fact I graduated from Baylor University without taking a math class. Now, what does that mean? It means I was sneaky, I found my way through Spanish and zoology to avoid math, but it also means now here, 30 years out of college, I'm functionally illiterate at math. Okay? So I got to call my son, the math teacher, future math teacher, he's student teaching right now, to say, hey, give me a formula. I need something like this. I need a computer guy because I don't do computers. I need a statistics guy because I'm really not good at statistics. So I know I have to find people who have skills that I don't possess to work with so that we can work together as a team. Finding, first off, recognizing your own shortfalls, and then finding that talent in others is effective leadership. And you really have to give those folks credit when they do provide it. Small rewards, a card, a small gift, whatever, so that you show your appreciation for them. It really makes a difference, and it helps build your team. And don't ever forget, you are the leader, but you are a leader of the team. Okay? And last but not least, language. And I always tell people this. No is a complete sentence. Okay? And you should get used to it. Don't be afraid to use no. Because if I didn't use no, I'd have 12 more titles. Okay? And sometimes you got to put family first. Sometimes you got to put your other positions first. And then as soon as you show that you are willing to do something, you know what happens? Other people try to recruit you for their efforts. And I'm just going to tell you, folks, no is a complete sentence. You should not be afraid to use it. All right? And especially when people are asking you for unrealistic demands of your time. Okay? Yes is a complete sentence, too. All right? And also, finally, in closing, the more you are a leader, the longer you're a leader, especially a leader in a particular area, you will develop kind of a repertoire of sayings and stories and things, and you'll use those a lot. Okay? So think about your area, and you'll find you'll get confidence from that too when you have this repertoire of things that you can plug in at the right time. Okay? With the right group of people. Okay? Kind of like I'm doing right now with you guys, and it helps me be confident. You know, plugging in what I know. And I know education, and I know how to work with people. So, that said, I really want to thank you for listening. Is there any questions? Are there any questions I can answer today about the union, about what we do, about why I'm running for Toledo School Board? Nobody has a question at all.
What is your platform? What are you change one thing about TPS?
The one thing I would change about TPS right now, and our biggest challenge, is our graduation rate. Toledo's graduation rate is dismal compared to the suburban areas. And I think that has a lot to do with the fact that we have students that show up to school in kindergarten that don't recognize their letters. We need to get to the kids as soon as possible. If you are reading at grade level in first grade, and I'll bet almost all of you were reading at grade level in first grade, it is an indicator that you will be successful in high school and successful in life. We're not doing that right now, and it's not really the school's fault, but we have to deal with it in Toledo. So we need to have an effective preschool program, and we need to have an effective kindergarten and first grade reading program. And I believe that will take care of the graduation rate on its own. The state has called for a third grade guarantee, a reading guarantee for the state, that effectively we will not graduate, we won't move anyone up to the fourth grade unless they have achieved a third grade reading level. But I'm saying here today we should have a first grade reading requirement, because if we can get students to read at their grade level in first grade, they will be successful high school students. And I guarantee you were all reading at grade level in first grade. I bet you were, because you had parents that took the time to make that happen. And we're not getting that on to the public schools. So that's my